Doom Patrol 1994 is a film with a pretty interesting backstory, because New Horizons still owned the film rights to Doom Patrol, but it was quickly gonna expire, so they quickly hired Roger Corman, who some people will probably know for adapting all those H.P. Lovecraft movies with Vincent Price, but more people know him as the Pope of Pop Movies, making nearly 300 movies in ludicrous speed for cheap and easy. Finishing the movie just to make a deadline, not even telling the people that worked on the film that the film was never going to be released. The original film reels were put in a vault and most likely destroyed by the head of DC Entertainment, who feared that the film would hurt DC's reputation at the time. So this film was basically the 90s Ironheart. At least Grizzly 2 was just never finished. But the film in the 2000s were eventually leaked onto video, and now we can actually watch the film that was never meant to be released. The suits do look exactly like in the comics, but they're super cheap, like they're Halloween costumes. I guess that's what you get for complaining about superhero costumes having more lines or visual appeal in newer films. Like in nearly every adaptation, Niles Caulder is just mixed with Mento. Well, honestly, he's pretty good in the role, even though we only get one force field with him. Elastigirl's effects look about as silly as you could imagine. Larry Trainor, the Negative Man's doing his best in this film. The negative spirit effects look fine, especially given the circumstances, and it's still the 90s. It is a practical Robot Man suit, and it does look kinda silly when he's trying to talk, but honestly, he does look pretty decent given the circumstances, and yeah, of course, this is the most expensive thing in the film. Cliff's wife Kate's in the film for like 2 minutes, and we see the transition of Cliff becoming Robot Man with a spin effect. And he also fights like this. No, I did not edit this.
What am I supposed to do with these guys?
There's also this weird monster guy running around and steals the totally not kryptonite from Mr. Nobody. Behind the scenes, we learned that he was originally supposed to be Animal Mineral Vegetable Man, but DC said no for some reason. Of course, the main villain is Mr. Nobody, played by Joseph Culp, I think that's how it's said. Sadly, one of the better adaptations of this character. They nailed the relationship with Niles, and him talking with his hands like he's Mussolini. He gets his powers in the hospital by 2 random guys who I think one of them is meant to be Dr. Fuchs, but they never say it. Kind of like how in Captain America 3 the computer is kind of Ultron. And because the film never went into post-production, they just kept his voice muffled from the mask, so no ADR. So half the film he just works. Fun fact, a very young Mark Ruffalo, before he became Martian Manhunter, actually auditioned for Mr. Nobody. And Patrick Warburton auditioned for Robot Man, which would have been amazing. But then Mr. Nobody captures everyone. But the force field didn't account for elasticity. Then he has a laser, because why not? So Negative Man has to deal with that, and have to deal with Mr. Nobody. At least that's accurate. Mr. Nobody refuses help from Niles. There's a pretty good documentary, Nobody, and the rest of the people who worked on Roger Corman's The Doom Patrol. It goes into greater detail and shows that this film was made with a lot of love and passion, just it wasn't given the time it needed. And that's why it's a better film than Doom Patrol 2014, because at least this film they tried. The film was made with actors who were actually passionate about the film. Even till today, they still want it to be officially released. Hopefully in another universe they were allowed to release. The acting's good, and it's not a fantastic script, but if this film was allowed to release in the 90s, it definitely would have been popular. Also got a reference in the 4th season episode of Secession, which is pretty random. Well, let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions down below, as well as hitting that like button and the subscribe button.